It's time. I think I'm live. Are we live, people? There's two of us. Why is one blurry? Why is one not? There's two of us. One's blurry, one's not. Let's scratch his head. Where's his head? There it is. I got a different camera. I'm just trying it out. What the? So, welcome to the Minutes with Milo show. It hasn't shown up on YouTube yet. Hold on. Are we here? Is this thing working? Hello? Hello? Coming at you live. It's spinning, it's spinning. There it is. Okay. What is that? Anyway, boy, it looks terrible live. Why is that one so blurry? And the other one is so red. Hey, Cleo. How you like dueling Milos tonight? That one, why is it so fuzzy? Why isn't that not focused? You get jealous? Definitely different. I know. So the little one is my phone camera that I've been using forever. It drives me crazy because it goes bzz, 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 trying to autofocus. And the other one is a hey Robert. The other one is a actual webcam USB. And I monkeyed with the settings. It did look worse, and I've got too much red in it. I don't know what the settings are, but I know, isn't it wonderful? So I don't know why the phone. Well, I guess maybe the phone's a better camera, no doubt. But I never could get it to stop trying to autofocus. But with the phone, I've got to go through a second piece of software to get it, so I can use a phone as a webcam. The other one is just USB, and I think that's maybe why there's a little bit of lag in the phone. But the phone does have a better picture. Yeah, the little one is clearer but lagging. That's the phone. That's the one I had been using. And the bigger one, I've got a different aspect ratio set for it. And I don't know. Like I said, I just got it. It's real grainy. So, but I don't know. It doesn't let me do some of the things. All right, so that's exposure. Well, you can't tell, probably. Aperture, can't do any of that. Zoom, only thing I can do here is exposure. Auto or not. Whoa. Whoa, ah. Let's do auto, back to auto. So you can do something like brightness and some of that stuff you can't set to automatic. Let's see if that help any. It's not quite as, the saturation level, I messed with that, I know that. You'd like to try to handle two of them at once, wouldn't you? Yeah, so I set the saturation level. That's why the flag looks so much redder, because that's kind of what I was going by. I don't know. Well, this is something I just never could get rid of that silly autofocus. So, see what I'm going to do. Let's just see, my aspect ratio is totally different. I can't get it. I could put me in the middle of the screen like that, if I change the aspect ratio, it widens it out, but it shows some of the, it doesn't get the background. So anyway, there you go. I solved your problems. You can just look at the pretty one right in the middle of the screen, even though it's just kind of red, man. When I looked at it on YouTube, it looked terrible because it's in such a big screen. I may go back to the other one. See, on my little screen, it doesn't look too bad. It looks kind of grainy. It looks kind of red. But when I looked at it on YouTube, it really looked kind of bad. Does it really look kind of bad? Let me look over here. We're going live. Where's my live? Click on that. Yeah, the red's just way too red. So let's talk about early aerial combat. And I did a little, it was between this and the buzz bomb. So I picked this. And the reason is because I looked one other time. I don't remember how long ago it was. Looked at some of this, and I thought it was really interesting that how it became a thing. And you know, the way all innovations are, it starts out mundane, and then somebody goes, well, hey, I bet you we could do this. And then it's like, well, if they can do that, then we could do better than that. And so it just kind of snowballs. So in 1903, the Wright brothers flew barely flew. I'm going to give them that. They barely flew. They did a whole lot better than I would have done with what they had to work with. But, you know, they were only a few feet off the ground for however many yards. And, you know, it worked. Then, you know, as it developed, people took off with it. And I was trying to look and see when the first, what I would consider uh, biplane came about. 2009, no. 2017, no. But the first biplane that I would consider to be a plane is the one like you'd think of, soft wheel camel and all that kind of junk. So that's what I would kind of think of the biplane. Is this, you know, these guys down here, this guy, like right here. The barnstorming biplane, that kind of stuff. So the biplane, two wings, the above the other, in the 1890s, this configuration was adopted for some successful piloted gliders. The Wright brothers biplanes opened the air for powered flight. Biplanes predominated in military and commercial aviation from World War I through the early 1930s, but the biplane's greater maneuverability could not offset the speed advantage of the lighter monoplane. After World War II, biplanes were used only for special purposes, crop dusting, and sport acrobatic flying. So this is what they employed in World War I. And it said in 1911 they started using airplanes. I'll call it in combat. I wouldn't say in combat. So of course, they knew that, airplanes could be a great advantage, especially when potentially your enemy didn't have any or fewer than you had or whatever. So we're just going to say us, the United States. When I say they, it's us. It may be not us at all. That we started using biplanes in World War One for reconnaissance. So, hey, why not? You go up in an airplane, you fly. They might shoot at you with rifles, and they did. They tried to shoot you down, but I mean, given the weaponry then, and they would fly around and look where the soldiers were and where they were going, and all their heavy guns, their artilleries and things like that, and then they would just fly back and tell the other army on the ground, hey, this is where they're at. They're over this hill right here, and they're coming this way. And both sides did that. When they found out what they could do, they knew, yeah, Snoopy was one of the better pilots, and the Red Baron would occasionally shoot him down, but Snoopy always came back. Always. The flying doghouse cannot be beat. I wonder if a doghouse is a mono wing. Probably is a mono wing instead of a biplane. Where is it? Anyway, so they started doing that. And stories go that it became to the point where they would pass each other. So one was going one way and one was going the other way. And, it was just, they would just wave at each other because there was nothing the other side could do about it. And so it became very frustrating. And then at the very first of this, what they ended up doing was somebody decided, I just can't, go around and miss all this, just letting these people fly that way while we're flying this way. So they would take things up with them like bricks and rocks. And as they were flying to and from their missions, they would drop these things and try to drop them down on the other plane and knock them out of the sky. So that was the first, bombing or whatever you want to call it. And I wouldn't even call it bombing. They tried to attack the other planes with rocks and stuff like that. So they decided that wasn't enough. And then they took pistols and they would take rifles. But sometimes in the early biplanes, they were just the pilot. So he was trying to fly and trying to do all this while he was trying to shoot or maneuver and get into a better place and drop things on them. And then, after a while, they had two-seaters. But my dogs are going crazy. One of the big things that they had problems with was mounting guns to the airplanes. And they were fixed guns. The first ones were fixed guns. And they had to be mounted above the wing because, the prop sits right in front of the pilot. He looks through the prop as he was flying these biplanes, or pretty close to it. So they had to be mounted above the wing because they had to, they had to have a clear shot. So it wasn't easy. I don't know how they ever aimed them. And so they had to point the airplane at their enemy. So they would probably be flying nose to nose, trying to figure out the angle to shoot these guns so that they could hit, yeah, spray and pray, so they could hit the other one. And let's see, what did they call those? And it wasn't until later, and I don't know. Let's see. I gotta go see what these dogs are barking at. Here, read this. First machine gun fired from an airplane. Talk amongst yourself. I'll be back. All right, we're back. Did you read up on it? This is 1912. Volunteers were accepting flight instructions. He scored 5 hits on a 6 foot by 7 cheesecloth target from altitude of 250 feet. Next day, he fired on a 6 by 54 foot cloth, altitude of 550 feet. Huh. Interesting. So they had to have a machine gun and a machine gunner. And the first guy, and I was trying to figure this out. Machine gun. I don't remember what they're called. There was one the guy came up with. There you go. The first true synchronized gear to enter service was in 1915, the German Air Service. By 1930, fighter aircraft came standard with 2 synchronized rifle caliber machine guns, both of which fired forward through the spinning propeller using an electric synchronization system. So in 1915, see, it didn't take them very long to learn how to time the bullets being shot out of the machine gun so that they didn't, shoot the prop up when they shot through them, which made it a lot easier for, pilots to shoot because then they didn't have to hold it overhead or out the window or do any of that kind of crazy stuff. It doesn't say who came up with that. It says a synchronized gear, also known as a gun synchronizer or interrupter gear, was a device enabling a single-engine tractor configuration aircraft to fire its forward-firing armament through the arc of the spinning propeller without bullets striking the blades. Okay. That was 1912. Said it was a Dutch engineer. Huh. Motion of the prop. This problem was solved in 1915 by Anthony Fokker, Fokker, a Dutch aircraft mechanic or engineer. So there you go. That's pretty cool. And that changed a lot. Like I said, it didn't take them long to one up each other and go from throwing bricks and rocks and dropping them on each other's head to shooting guns and then, to synchronizing it so that they could shoot each other. And then at that point, they had to learn to evade and not get shot down by all the bullets flying out through there. Then after that, as they say, it was all history. Hey kid, they called him the little Fokker. So in a lot of the early movies, you see movies about World War One and things, where they had them mounted up and they would just, pull the trigger this way, and then they ended up mounting somehow with a trigger on the controls, and then they had a gunner, and some of them would shoot out the back, and they did all kinds of things to try to stop each other, because it soon turned from, if you could drop a brick, then you could drop grenades from airplanes. And I'm sure that's the way it escalated a lot. Not only were they going over to do reconnaissance, but then, so like, hey, man, give me a couple of grenades, and while I'm over there, I'll just chuck these things out and we'll fly back. And most were rear-facing guns at first. In the, let's see here. So I looked up the history of aerial warfare, and the Chinese used kites and balloons. Airplanes were put into use in 1911, initially for reconnaissance and then for aerial combat to shoot down the reconnaissance planes. The use of planes for strategic bombing emerged during World War II. Also during World War II, Nazi Germany developed many missile and precision-guided munition systems, including the first cruise missile, the first short-range ballistic missile, and the first guided surface-to-air missiles. So that kind of skipped over a lot of those things. Kite warfare. The earliest documented aerial warfare took place in ancient China when a manned kite was set off to spy for military intelligence. Balloon warfare. Ancient Chinese. In or around the 2nd or 3rd century, a prototype hot air balloon was invented in China, serving as military communication station. That's pretty cool. So in the Civil War, they used hot air balloons. Lode's first action was a free flight observation of the Confederate positions at the First Battle of Bull Run in 1861. Very interesting. A balloon, I think a hot air balloon would be a pretty good on a nice day, would be a pretty good platform for a good sniper. I mean, if you could get it, of course, it works both ways. If you're a sniper on the ground, it wouldn't be hard to pick the guy off in the basket. So maybe you should leave well enough alone, right? You shouldn't be asking for trouble if you're just standing up in a hot air balloon. So, yep. Yeah, it definitely makes a bigger target. Plus, you put enough holes in the hot air balloon, it's coming down, which would not be good. Not be good. All right, so in case you haven't seen, I got this little critter on my lap. He's not too little. Come here, little buddy. Sit up here. There he is. He's not feeling too well tonight. So I'm going to have to cut this one short and take little guy downstairs and see if he needs some attention. He's the one that was causing all the ruckus before. Since I was down there by myself. Look at the camera, little buddy. There he is. All right. So I think I'm going to have to cut this one short. It's 25 minutes. That's not too bad. And see what he needs. He may have to go out, or maybe he needs some more food. He's got thyroid issues. See, I'm an old guy. Got some thyroid problems. But yeah, next time I think I didn't want to limit myself. Hitler, was into all kinds of strange weapons and different things like that. So next show I might try to do something along the lines of the buzz bomb or some of these other kind of off the wall. I don't know how many of those there might be that that he tried to come up with, and because he would try. I guess there near the end he would throw in anything on the wall just to see what would stick. So the buzz bomb was kind of interesting, and I think he used a special engine, special fuel in that. And for some reason, I might be wrong, but for some reason I was thinking that he was using hydrogen peroxide, something like that, to make these buzz bombs. And that was one of the reasons they had such a distinct sound. But I'll just have to look. I know they were some type of rocket based. But yeah, we'll just have to look into that. Probably next show, if I can remember, will be on the buzz bomb or some of Hitler's, bizarre weapons. But anyway, I appreciate you guys showing up. I know it's a little short, but hey, you know what? When I first started this show, I was thinking 30 minutes. 30 minutes would be a good time. We've been on here 27. I know we jacked around and talked about the camera setup. I'll try to get that, see if this one's any better than my phone. And just because the phone, oh man, it drives me crazy how it goes out of focus, in focus, out of focus, in focus. So anyway, I know Germany had really good scientists, and they were, if you wanted measurement instruments or instruments that were very, very precise, then Germany always had a good name for that. But anyway, Oppenheimer, yeah, he was a dude they got from Germany to come over and do the atomic bomb. So anyway, yep. So 28 minutes. This is about the time I was thinking I'd cut the show off anyway, when I first started it, not 50 minutes, like some of them go out. I get talking and can't stop. So anyway, appreciate y'all coming. I know it was short notice. These two guys probably didn't even get my message. They just know to tune in at 9 o'clock or thereabouts to catch the show. So anyway, I appreciate it. And if you're watched this a little bit, like, subscribe, leave me a comment, let me know what you thought, and tell your friends and neighbors. All right, thank you. See you next time.